And away we go.
Oh, here we are.
Live from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner.
Live from Elk Valley Brewing. With Thunder Colors. We are going the full gamut tonight. I don't know if people can see.
I don't know if they can. Yeah, I guess you can see.
Well, mine blends in with the shirt. That's the problem here. But
oh, here we are.
What are we here for?
For Homebrew Guys, the podcast.
Yes, we are.
Live from Oklahoma City. We got a live studio audience tonight. See, those are real people.
We're training them well. They're
Garrett
getting better at it every
Garrett didn't
week.
press the sound machine button for that response at all.
We'll get some applause. Don't worry. Cue the applause.
Canned audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Timmy, that we are streaming during the OU game. Unforeseen circumstances placed us on this weekend. But what that meant was that we got to go to Mazer Cup last weekend.
Yes, we were supposed to do it last weekend, but we went to a bigger event, I would say, which was the Mazer Cup, arguably the biggest mead.
It was slightly bigger than this.
It's slightly bigger. I don't know. This is pretty big. It could be.
Yeah, there's hundreds of people in here.
Yeah, that's our audience, right?
Yeah. We drove up to Kansas City, Missouri.
Yes.
We spent 10 hours in the car.
It was like a little 26-hour trip.
Yeah.
That's what we figured out.
5 hours up, 5 hours back.
Yeah.
We went to Kansas, 3 times during that trip?
Yeah. Well, one extra time. Unplanned. We took a trip to Lawrence, Kansas for just for fun, just to kind of hang out, see what happens in Lawrence.
You should explain what really happened.
We left the Mazer Cup banquet, and BC and I got to chatting, and just honestly, we're not thinking. And I started going the total wrong way, away from Kansas City.
Our Airbnb.
And then we literally made it to the outskirts of Lawrence, and we were like, this doesn't seem right.
There aren't any buildings here.
This doesn't look like a city. And so we turned around.
Yep. So that was an hour and a half trip to go 20 minutes.
It was great, though.
So let's talk about Mazer Cup. Let me ask you first, when we walked into the building, did it meet your expectations?
No.
In your years of thinking about what the Mazer Cup banquet looks like, what the venue looks like, and I'm not throwing shade. I'm just how did the reality stack up to the vision you had?
I felt like it was underwhelming because when you hear about the Mazer Cup, to me I had this image of especially after spending $50 on a ticket to get into it, I was like, man, it's going to be this super.
I expected to at least there would be.
Try not to make it sound negative. Yeah, I don't know. Expected more. I expected a bigger
tablecloths, maybe
stuff like that. But then also there was just a lot of the actual banquet side of there was I don't want to say meet and greet, but a time for us to hang out with people and whatever. And we kind of found our own little group of people. There wasn't a lot of intermingling, I would say. It was very clear that there was little pocket of person
clicks.
Yeah,
there were clicks.
Yes, there were definitely. And I didn't feel comfortable enough to go introduce myself and push myself into a crowd because that wasn't.
It was a VFW post.
Yes.
There were chandeliers, which was not what I was expecting.
Maybe that was where the $50 went. Maybe.
It was a small building. It was dark. It was just buffet style barbecue, which I agree, $50 a ticket for cold barbecue was not my preference.
Mm-hmm.
But
overall, though, the minus the bugs and glitches of them trying to get the live stream going and things, it was a pretty decent event. I would say that a little bit more organization would have been nice, and then it felt a little anticlimactic. I think my biggest beef was how they presented the awards. That they basically started with first place, which was so weird to me to go backwards and say, all right, first place is, and then second place and third place. It didn't seem very normal, and so and we couldn't see the names, and so it was a little odd, but.
So Rachel, who we met at Mazer Cup, shout out to you, Rachel. Rachel was a blast to talk to.
She was.
And knew a ton about mead and yeasts and all that. Really fun conversation. Rachel says, hey guys, LOL, walking into a poorly air-conditioned VFW wasn't what I envisioned the Mazer Cup to look like either.
If you want to see what that looked like, the exact thing, I did put out my first and probably last vlog ever.
Yeah.
and there's a moment where I'm walking in and you can see the exact room and kind of how it was set up and things. But overall,
I don't know how it was in Denver or Colorado, wherever
Yeah.
they used to have it, but I just like imagined it was in like a big hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure why, but there were like panels and
like a MeadCon situation.
yeah,
It's
like a convention.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, with the
I don't know, there was a stage maybe.
with the people there, theoretically there should have been more.
There's some big
like-
names in Mead there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were right next to Ken Schramm.
We were
just
nobodies
like rubbing
in that
elbows.
room.
And it was a little bit. It was interesting. It was fun to see people and talk to people you wouldn't normally get to. So
Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't worth $50 a ticket, and I would strongly advise them to reconsider that whole situation next time. I know they moved kind of last minute to Kansas City this year, so
Yeah.
maybe like it was a hiccup with trying to get a better venue. Shout out to the VFW folks though for
hosting.
hosting and putting us up. That was cool
I definitely had a lot of takeaways for our own
for Mead
for
Stampede.
Mead Stampede, third year, us looking at doing a maybe not a banquet, but a award ceremony of its own. So I think there's a lot of insight to be gleaned. But the whole weekend was fun. And afterwards,
blast.
when we finally made it back to Kansas City, we went and found some fun places in Kansas City to do
Yeah, we
things.
hung out with some subscribers
Yeah.
that lived up there. We tried to go to Boulevard Brewery.
Didn't work.
Didn't work out. They closed at we got there at 8:10, and they told us it was last call.
Yeah, that was
on a
pretty
Saturday.
interesting. They wanted to go home. I guess.
Clearly.
I don't know.
So we ended up at the Green Lady Lounge, which isn't what it sounds like. There were no green ladies there.
No green ladies. It was very loud and dark.
It was
very. It was like everything was pretty much lit by candlelight. It was very
And
interesting.
everyone was yelling.
And there were two bands. There was upstairs, downstairs, and there were two bands. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So I guess you had your choice. So it was a lot of fun overall. And then making it back, and I think there was a lot to learn from the weekend. I can honestly say I probably will not go to the banquet again.
No, I have no interest in going back.
But it was fun for a first time to try.
No, it was cool because we didn't tell anyone we were going. We just rolled up and walked in, and so we got to give everybody a little surprise. They didn't care, but we did it anyway. It was a good time. So Garrett, Eddie asks, haven't been checking in a while. Boys, what a setup. What's with the massive fermenters in the background? Do you want to talk about
we upgraded recently.
Yeah, Garrett.
I was going 5 gallons.
Now, these do double as a washer and dryer.
Yeah,
so
yes,
don't
yes.
think that
this
we're
one,
out of.
no, you got the wrong. This one is the washer dryer.
Got it.
I get them confused too, so I got to make sure I'm pouring the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to change. No, we're at Elk Valley Brewing, and this is their brewing space.
Yeah,
so
we're at a real brewery.
Yeah, they've been. Not our house. This is
Not our house. Not a fake one. Not a set in Hollywood.
I don't even know what I would do with this large of a.
I mean, imagine how much honey it would take to brew in one of these. You're talking a couple of pails, probably. Yeah, we're at a real life brewery here in Oklahoma City, and we'll be here for the next 15 minutes or so. So if you want to,
there is something fun. So I have brought a bottle that went to Mazer Cup, and I'll talk about this later, but I am going to share some meads with our audience who would like to participate and drink some today. So you can join us, and you can skirt on down if you'd like to be a part of that, too. You have basically till the end of the show, so come on down.
Christopher Morrow asks, any more collaborations planned with each other or other brew tubers?
We always collab. I feel like it's just we always have things going on in our world. I don't know about others. I don't have any on my docket right now that are like specific collabs with people.
I don't have any lined up. I have I've talked to the folks over at the City Studying channel about trying to line something up. It hasn't materialized. Mandy and I have talked about doing another something, but she's been really busy. I've been really busy, so we haven't made that happen. Talked to Trent over at the Brew Show about maybe getting something lined up. I
Last
don't think
time we
our
did something,
schedules
he
have lined up.
Yeah, he talked about wanting to do something again too. So I don't know. I know you have this too. We have a lot of had a lot of people wanting to sponsor videos, and so I have lots of content that has sponsorships paired with it.
You should go check out my last video and click on the link in the description for 10% off. cool shirts like this. Or his video. You can click on the link.
Did you say the company, or did you just say
No,
that?
no.
Okay.
They didn't pay me for this video.
That's true. That's true.
They're asking if we're drinking Coors Light tonight.
You might be.
Look at the colors of our glasses.
Yeah, his is very clear. It looks very good.
I'm
Mine is
having their house cider. I don't remember what it was called. Apple Bottom Jeans.
Mine is a
That's
hazy
a very
IPA.
mid-aughts reference.
It is.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me. Might I have?
And what are you having?
It's a hazy IPA.
Hazy IPA.
Very, very hazy.
But it is game night, Boomer Sooner. So they have $15 pitchers tonight. So if you want to come down, we've got all these bistro kind of setups down here. Adept Nonsense is asking if these are 5 or 10 barrel systems. Probably 10.
According to my calculations,
I think the 15s are taller than this.
I don't know.
I don't know. We don't have the brew staff in here tonight either yet.
No. Yeah, maybe we'll entice them to come in.
All right.
Any
let's,
other,
let's say some hellos. Do you have any closing thoughts on Mazer Cup?
Definitely think I will continue to probably submit things in the future. It will depend on.
What did you feel about your feedback on your
I
submissions?
thought some of it was valuable and helpful to what I was making. I don't know that all of it was. To be honest, there was a lot of stuff that was said or written down that I kind of already knew, which is like confirmation. Like, okay, then yes, my palate is noticing these things, but there wasn't any revolutionary like, I got this. Like the time I sent my apple cinnamon out, and this was before I learned about edible wax on the apples. I didn't know about the fact that it could make it taste plasticky, and so I had feedback that said, "Hey, this tastes plasticky." I did some research, and then that's when I changed to, boiling or for a moment boiling the apple before you cut it up to get rid of the wax. Changed my stuff. I didn't have anything like that. Nothing that was. Most of it was just like, I think this needs a little more time. Like, okay, I can't fix that.
Yeah. So I entered a piment into their special barrel aged category. And most of my feedback was about the barrel character. And so I was a little disappointed that I didn't get a lot of feedback about the actual piment.
Yeah.
Like the honey and the fruit, the grapes in this circumstance. And I think it was because I put it in the barrel aged category. And then I entered my Tej, which I think they got a bad bottle of because they described it as like lacking in carbonation, which I had been concerned because those bottles were carbonated to like 3 volumes, and so they didn't chill any of the carbonated
that was
stuff.
one of my big beefs. They didn't do any chilling for session meads or carbonated meads in general, which
so I was worried that it had exploded on them because it was pretty heavily pressurized, and so I think maybe the cap got dinged on the bottle, or maybe it had been left open for a while.
Rachel, who we were talking about earlier, she had sent in a champagne carbonation level mead
that was like 5 volumes or something,
and like to where it had to have a cage on it, and you're like, can you imagine opening that up room temp being like, this looks safe?
That was kind of strange. This year for Mead Stampede, all the carbonated anything that was marked petalin or sparkling we chilled for safety reasons, and we didn't have any gushers this year.
Might disable performance mode for a second.
Where is that?
It's getting choppy in your stream. Right click. We're learning things together.
Right click what?
The screen. Performance mode. Do that, and it'll calm it down. Or no, put it back. Keep it on.
I'm keeping it on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right now you're using too much RAM.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So.
Yeah. Well, we'll try and unchoppy it. I'm using an old Mac too. I think I disabled all my other. Oh, let me kill Chrome.
Kill Chrome.
Chrome is
the one. That's your problem.
Always sucking up my RAM. Okay, so hopefully it'll get better now. So shout out to Costa del Ireland. They say hi.
Haven't been there, but sounds great.
I've never been to Ireland.
Any others?
I'm looking to see if I see any fun. TK and Drinks is here. He says, MeadCon and Mazer Cup used to coincide, and the Omni in Broomfield, Colorado. Maybe in the Omni. It was awesome by comparison. Carvin will make it better next year.
So you think it was just this year? being in a different
maybe it's like growing
place.
pains
Maybe.
or like transitional pains. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm willing to give everyone grace.
Yeah.
We need to grace our first Mead Stampede.
Yes.
And here we are now. Okay, so do you want to do in the brews?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Am I going to be able to do this in performance
You should.
mode?
If you can try it, you should be able to you just can't see what you're putting up there as long
I know,
as you know.
that's what's so freaky. Well, let me.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, go for it. It's not choppy anymore, so
Okay.
we're out of the chop zone.
It's probably killing chrome.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I can now that I know how to do it, I can go back and forth, right? So let's talk about beer prices. Is this me?
I think that's you. Okay. What about beer prices? What do you mean?
Beer prices, Garrett, are on the rise.
Why?
Didn't
Why
you
BC?
know?
Why would they be on the rise?
Well, apparently, beer prices are on the rise because of the supply chain. I watched this whole CNBC video on beer becoming more expensive,
Yeah.
and basically the lead on this story was that everything's more expensive. So worldwide, everything's more expensive. Therefore, according to the title of this article, also is beer. It says beer is the most popular alcoholic beverage in the world, a standing that has been boosted by the drink's relative affordability compared to cocktails or wine at a bar. Yet everyone from multinational brewers to small craft beer companies to pub chains have been warning about the beverage's inevitable price increase.
What are we gonna do about this?
Make it ourselves.
It is considerably cheaper to make beer at home. I don't brew a lot of beer, but I went and bought stuff for my recent braggot recipe, and it was literally, aside from honey, it was like $23 or $4 for a 5-gallon batch, and I was like, this is so much nicer than
Yeah, you
the
could spend that
60.
on some of the 6-packs around here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not really worth watching the video, but we'll put a link in the description after the show to this video.
Yep.
Because they do have cool graphics.
They do. Yeah, I mean, I see it here. It is cool.
It's like a cool infographic-y video explaining why beer is more expensive because everything's more expensive.
So, yeah, unfortunately, I think we've all noticed the increase of things, but
Yep.
it's
Gas is back down, though.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. So this next story is interesting because it is, well, interesting, sad. I don't really know what the word would be. So the Philadelphia Brewing Co.'s, it says that the title of it is Philadelphia Brewing Co.'s hop garden was cut down by city cleaning crew who thought it was weeds. So essentially what happened, their city crew, I don't know where this hop garden was, if it was close or where it was at, but they just came on through and went ahead and mowed it or weeded it or whatever they did. And they ruined a whole hop crop, which is fun to say. I don't know how I would react to that. Would you be rather frustrated? What would your reaction be if you had that
So
happen?
this was for like a very, very large batch of seasonal beer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I would be pretty pissed off, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So they have signs out in front, and you can go take a look at this story. They had signs out in front explaining what the hop garden was for, that it was for this special beer. And then, yeah, the city came through and just cut all their plants down and threw them away.
Yep.
But the cool thing about this story is apparently brewers from around the area and around the nation who are growing these kind of hops in their gardens are like conspiring together to ship them all in.
That's pretty wild.
Hopefully make up the difference so they can still make this beer.
Have you thought about growing hops?
I've tried and failed at growing
What
hops.
happened? I have to know now.
So I planted the hops rhizomes next to my fence, and the fence right on the other side of it, there's two trees. There's a pecan tree and I think an elm tree.
Uh-huh.
And they just have roots all up into the yard. So I planted the rhizomes after having the roots chopped up. And apparently the roots came back and just choked out the rhizomes. So the first year they like kind of came up, and then the second year they never came back.
Interesting.
So I lost 8 hops plants to the trees, and I just resigned that I'm never going to get to plant hops, at least at this house, because it's not just the trees, because we also have that pecan tree in our backyard, but you dig about a foot down and it's pure red clay. in our yard. So there's not great soil
Right.
in our yard either. And I'm not talking just like a little bit of like clay mixed into soil. I'm talking like when my niece came and spent the week, she wanted to play with clay, and so we dug down and got a hunk of red clay out of the ground that she could play with. It's just solid clay.
Well, I think we talked about it on the way to Mazer. I saw an article that was like Oklahoma's trying to start growing hops as a crop, and I think you noted, you were like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
I would be surprised, because you would essentially have to, I mean, I guess if you've got a field where you've been doing crop rotations for a while and you've really been amending the soil,
Yeah.
but that's not how hops grow, right? They grow up. And so it's kind of like having a vineyard. You would need infrastructure to support those hops, and I'd be surprised if Oklahoma.
Maybe we'll get
I think we
together.
should stick to hemp, probably, honestly.
Hear that?
I mean, at an agriculture. Oh, you're talking about at my house, because my understanding is that they are. What's the word for it? Prolific. And so I want my whole yard covered in hops. I want it to grow out and around, and if they're in a raised bed, you're kind of choked by.
Right.
Those parameters.
You're limited.
The bed, but like you're stuck in those parameters. My goal was to plant these 8 rhizomes and then have basically a giant green fence that keeps my neighbors from being able to see all the other things happening in my backyard.
There's a
Ted knows.
little sunbathing back there, yeah. Yeah.
Now we know what Ted's doing. I don't know if y'all he's growing hops and getting some vitamin D.
That's all
right.
you need.
This next one's all you.
Okay, so this next one's pretty cool because it's the title of it is this family has been making honey wine for 150 years.
150, 5 generations.
One family's been doing it, which is, I think that's cool because there's a lot of times, obviously, mead making is like a hobby, and I don't know that many people pass it down, but specifically the Lipman family. This is Rachel Lipman, who I guess is about 28. Is the youngest one of this family. Is keeping this tradition alive, which is pretty cool to me to be able to pass that down. And they have 14, let's say, wines available. Oh, there was I think they do wine.
Yeah, they do wine and mead.
And mead, because specifically it says among the varieties they include a Sizer, a Piment, and I think that was it for their meads, but they do a lot of wines too.
I think it's really cute how the article explains what those are.
I'm about that though.
Mead with apples.
Well, like
Mead
there's a
with
lot
grapes.
of times where if you say like Piment, people are like, "What the heck are you talking about? What's a Piment?" So I'm for that.
Yeah, and she talks about how they're doing a lot of the stuff dry too, because there's a misconception that mead is like sugary sweet, and so she's trying to like kind of cut through that and say this can be kind of whatever you want it to be.
That is the thing. I feel like most people who, every time someone brings me a mead, it's like, this is so good. It is like 98% going to be dry, or excuse me, sweet. Mm-hmm. There's like a low chance that it's dry, and that's mostly because I feel like it's just harder to make a good dry mead.
And we were talking about after both Valkyrie's Horn and Mazer that we a little bit believe that judges for some of these folks that have been judging for a while, their palates have like tuned up to sweetness. And so you had a mead that was 1.0 dry. Dry. And yours got judged as being too sweet for style, right?
And I feel a little frustrated by that. You know, I feel like
what?
I got punished for keeping honey character in my mead, because I feel like it was a combination of the honey floral and then of course alcohol, which can sometimes have perceived sweetness with it. I feel like it was those things just combining together, and then they were like, "Oh, this is too sweet for it to be dry." So, you know, they don't have a hydrometer. They're not reading that. They're just going off of their palate, which is fine. But I tasted that mead afterwards after looking at my feedback, and I was like, I see what they mean, but I don't personally believe it was sweetness necessarily.
Well, and there's another colleague of ours who entered a mead. It was 1.02, that had been judged as a dry mead. We had judged it as
Yep.
a dry mead previously, but it feels like sweetness out of all of the balancing elements seems to be the one that's just totally up for interpretation by whoever's
Well, clearly, if
tasting it at the time.
I mean, and that's what's hardest about entering things is like tasting it and going, is this semi-sweet, is this dry, or is this sweet? Because it is based on your own palate. Still, at the end of the day, you have to decide which category does it fit in, and then if you give it to whoever, and they say, no, actually, I think this is sweeter than that, who's right?
Yeah.
It's still based on the palate. So that story, though, 150 years of mead making,
5 generations.
That's pretty cool. That's a Guinness World Record. That's
you gonna pass mead making on to your offspring?
I got 145 more years to continue that legacy. So.
And then they'll be at 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right now, if they keep it going, no one's winning.
All right. So this next one is exciting. This news just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Hype. So. It's a new yeast from White Labs. It's WLP 077. It's a yeast blend. So it's not technically a new yeast, but it is a yeast blend with new intentions, right? So the last time on the show we were talking about thiolized yeasts, and those were specifically yeasts that had been genetically modified to convert precursors for thiols into big fruity flavors like grapefruits, sometimes vanilla, things like that. So White Labs did a bunch of studies on a bunch of different yeast strains, and what they found was that there's an enzymatic activity that happens. Let me turn that off. Where there's a specific enzyme generated by the yeast that converts those precursors into those flavor compounds. And so they selected yeasts that were good at that, found a blend that worked really well, and then tested it against a yeast that wasn't good at that to see what the side-by-side results would be. And it was a win. So they have now, it does the thing, but it's not genetically modified.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks are against genetically modified organisms, particularly in the EU. They don't allow the import of GMO organisms. And so what the real news of this is that since this is just a yeast blend, nothing has been done in a lab to create it. It's just blending different strains together to get this product. That means that these thiol converting yeasts are now available internationally where previously people couldn't get a hold of them. So like Cosmic Punch, for example, you can't get in Europe, but you should be able to get this yeast because it's not GMO.
Yeah.
So that unleashes the world of IPAs, like new IPA knowledge.
Just what we need. We need more IPAs. We don't have enough of them.
I mean, that's what I believe.
I mean, no, that's true. There's a lot of the hop variant alone is nice, but now having a yeast to be able to do more, is pretty wild.
And so you can see on this chart here, just the regular California ale yeast versus their Tropicale blend, how much more flavor conversion was achieved by this yeast blend. Super cool. I want to get my hands on it. I got my hands on Heliogazer. I'm going to brew with that tomorrow.
Have you used Star Party yet?
I've not. I need to. I keep forgetting.
I have a Star Party.
Heliogazer that I bought for you. So I'm going to brew a beer with it tomorrow, and I've got the Phantasm powder, the thiol powder. It comes from like Chardonnay grape skins or something weird like that. You throw in at Whirlpool. So I'm just going to brew the fruitiest beer I can tomorrow with like mash hops and all that stuff. So hype for that.
That sounds fun.
It's cool that there is now a non-GMO version of this kind of yeast out there for folks who might want that instead of the GMO stuff.
I'm all about trying new yeasts. I need to actually. You're brewing a beer. I have a beer I need to brew. Maybe not tomorrow, but I'm doing something different for the first time. I have an all-in-one system now, and I went to the brew shop and was trying to figure out what to brew, adapting a recipe essentially. And this guy was like, "Yeah, you should use Voss for this specific thing," and I was like, "Okay, that'd be cool." but then I said, well, it's getting colder. You know, I'm not going to brew outside. It's going to get like 70, 60 nowadays. And he's like, just brew in your all-in-one. Just ferment and hold it at temp.
Oh, yeah.
And you're all-in-one.
Sounds like a good way to get a house fire started.
I don't know.
I mean, in a typical all-in-one, I wouldn't. How can I say this politely? I would just be a little cautious about the one you've received.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it.
Based on the country of origin but and the circumstances surrounding it. Leaving it plugged in for 2 weeks might not be the best idea.
Maybe so. I might try it, though. I'm thinking about trying it. We're going to see.
I mean, you do you, man.
Well, hopefully nothing lights on fire in my house.
All right. This one's all you.
All right, so this one's also personal, and it relates to the brew shop, actually. So I have been struggling with CO2 and my own problems, and it so happens to be.
It sounds like a health condition.
It feels like it.
Do you suffer from CO2 problems? You may be entitled to compensation.
There goes your little reverb to help you out there.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, turns out my problem is the world's problem right now, or UK's problem, in that this says UK facing beer shortages as key carbon dioxide producer pauses operations. So essentially, the availability of CO2 is causing less beer to be produced, and not great situation for beer lovers in the UK right now.
Did you see what if you go all the way back to the outside of the onion, what the problem is here?
I don't think so.
It has to do with the production of ammonia fertilizer.
Yeah.
So they're producing less fertilizer, the byproduct being CO2. And so, yeah, that
is
less fertilizer means less CO2, which means less beer. In the UK specifically. I don't know. It's weird.
So my problem was
it's a weird world we live in.
I had a leak in my CO2 tank. Now, of course, we're not having a shortage here, but I went to the Learn to Brew shop here probably 3 times in the course of 2 weeks to refill a tank, and I'm sure those guys were tired of me by the end of it because they wanted me to fix my problem, so I wouldn't keep coming in. But then I dunked everything in buckets to find the leak, and that was the most annoying thing I've had to do in brewing in a long time.
You said you found it, though.
I found it, though. It was the last thing I checked, of course. So that is the nice part.
Well, hopefully they start making more ammonia-based I guess it's nitrogen fertilizer, and
make more fertilizer.
We'll be back in business. Maybe somebody
I don't know
should
about
start
us. We won't be back. They will be back in business.
Maybe somebody should start a diammonium phosphate plant, and you could be selling nutrients and CO2 at the same time. I don't know. Just naturally carbonate. That's, there are a lot of breweries out there that will harness the CO2 from fermentation to then carbonate whatever's in their bright tank. That's not unheard of.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why. I'm sure it takes a whole other system, though.
Yeah, it does.
And so people aren't wanting to invest the money.
Well, just get good. Okay.
Just figure it out. Quit complaining. Just figure it out.
What do you got brewing? What's coming up on your channel soon?
Well, apparently I have a beer that might light on fire. That's coming up soon.
Just be a little cautious. That's all.
That's upcoming. What I brewed, but I also have. I was waiting for Mazer Cup stuff my feedback to come back for a couple videos. One of them in the future will be my. And I say final apple and cinnamon or apple mead because I've put out, if anybody knows the channel, I have like 19 videos on apple meads. I've already pulled down every single one of them because this guy is going to be the penultimate one. So that one will come out.
This guy.
Yeah, pretty soon. I have a pint that I've finished, and I'm kind of excited about that one. It's a Pinot Blanc pint that took a lot of extra work because it finished at 1060.
Oh wow!
Because of my poor yeast choice, and it was very sweet.
What yeast did you go with?
I think I used the Premier Blanc or something. Anyways, so it went It did not go dry at any way. So then I
Oh,
had to
no
come through
kidding. Cough
and
syrup.
yeah, it was. I don't know though. So at Mazer we had a couple meads though that they were toting that the final gravity was 1.080 or
Yeah.
something. Like one was a SRAM original, and it was like it was called I think Sunflower, and they were talking about how it was like 1.100 final or something outlandish.
It was pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
So
As you had given me a sample of it, and then later somebody came around with another sample, and I didn't know what it was.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, this is that really sweet thing that I had earlier, because I am not a sweet tooth. But
it was very sweet.
it was very
I
sweet.
think it's possible to do that sweet, but you have to really balance. I ended
Yeah.
up getting it to about like 10, 20, but I had to blend with the dry traditional, adjust acid balance, bunch of tannin adjustments, oak. Like it took way more effort than if I had like started my gravity lower and then went dry. Like it
Yeah.
would have been so much easier just to go dry, back sweeten, and then go from there. So
I've got this beer that I'm brewing that will end up on the channel hopefully in the next month or so. It's one I've been working on since the summer. I wanted to get it out before summer was over. Now it's fall, so whatever. But it's a braggot with specifically blueberry blossom honey is what I wanted to work with there. And then, all these stylized yeasts came out and was like, oh, I can use those to enhance the berry flavor of a hop that tastes like berries. And so I specifically chose a hop for that. And then, of course, mash hop and all that. So it's a very complicated. I think you brewed the first iteration with me. I think you came over to my house when we did
I
that
don't
brew in a
remember.
bag
Oh yeah.
that one day. I think that was version 1 of it.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I think that I'm finally done. The frustrating thing is I want to use that phantasm powder in it, and I know that people aren't going to want to spend the money on that for one batch
You
of
should
beer.
do it, but then just mention the effects. I think that'd be
Yeah.
cool to do it, and then mention if you do use this, here's what
It's
will
only
happen.
like 10 extra bucks for this fancy powder. I don't know. So that's coming up, and then and I'll throw this to chat. Y'all can tell me what you think. I am doing a sponsored video about a small kegging system. I think it's like a 1 1/4 gallon keg.
Yeah.
And the reason I accepted this video, because I'm not really into these little kegs, but this one has like a bright red powder coat finish, and it's real cool looking. I was like, oh,
You need to put like
I kind of want that.
like the what dog? What's the Switzerland dog where that carries around the medicine dog? You know what I'm talking about?
a Saint Bernard.
Yes. You need to put a white X on it and then attach it to Sam and then use it as like a
I have Sam swinging it around on her neck.
yeah.
It's really cool. So my thought was, it's seasonal, right? Like I want to do something as we're getting into fall. My thought was to develop a quick recipe for like a pumpkin spice latte cocktail that could be served under pressure.
I love it.
But chat, let me know if you want to see that coming up on the channel.
You know they do.
Some
You know that. I mean,
PSL.
they're gonna want
1
that.
1 gallon batch.
It's PSL
I
season,
could wear
man.
like my most basic outfit, bleach my tips.
Yeah, I want to see that video right there. Yeah.
I don't know.
Get
I want
maybe with beard.
I want to do a carbonated cocktail. Like I've never done one. I've definitely never done one on the channel. Well, I say I've never done one. I
When you say-
definitely put vodka and lime juice in a keg and carbonated it
And
before.
done like a so you mean like I did a Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
So like doing like a
yeah,
that
mix,
kind of
mix
recipe.
it all
Okay.
in the keg and then carbonate it. PSL. I don't know. You could use like some what's
could always
that?
use-
What's that cream? Irish cream, Bailey's.
oh you're mixing in post.
Put some Bailey's in there.
Don't do. I did that
think
with a
it'll
coffee
curdle?
mead one time. Oh, 100%. I did. I was just messing around and threw some of that in a coffee mead, and it curdled in about 10 minutes, and it was disgusting.
As seen on TV, who I believe is here in the audience, asks, "Can we get a video on your all-in-one system?"
Yeah. Oh, there's a video. Don't worry. We'll see. You'll see the results of that video.
I'm sure it's gonna be.
There has to be. I mean, that's part of the sponsorship.
Well, yes, it's a sponsored video, but I'm sure it's gonna be really good. I'm sure you're gonna have no complaints.
I'm decently impressed with it so far.
Yeah.
My biggest
What have you
problem
done
with
with
it,
it?
nothing.
Boil water?
No, but what I'm saying is that the structure of it is good.
Okay.
The thing that gets me is their logo is not centered on the. It is like here's the center of the thing. It's like to the side. I'm like, you couldn't have just rotated it. Like that's probably the least professional thing so far without having brewed with it.
Just a branding
Also,
problem.
the biggest hop basket I've ever seen in my life. I kid
Yeah?
you not. It is like this big. It is a tube.
Huh.
I don't know.
And your shirt's for hops? Or is it for your...
It's got a grain
is it for your-
basket already.
Oh.
So it's
I don't
the
know.
hop spider for it is literally about this tall and about this wide.
I'm sure that it
It's
is
for
going to work great and not burn your house down. That same company is the company that sent me the pot still. And I had to do a lot of small
I didn't have to build this as much,
modifications.
though. Did you have to build yours?
Oh, yeah.
See,
yeah.
I didn't really. I had to put together like the hop basket and like screw in just the spout for it.
Okay.
That was all I had to
that
do.
still came as just like a bag of parts clanging around. That I think I told you. I laid them all out in my living room floor to try to understand what it was they had sent me. I got it together. Larry says that he believes that pumpkin spice latte should be served on nitro instead of CO2.
Ooh, there you go. Can you do nitro in your setup?
I don't think they make beer
I
gas in those little screw-on canisters. Pretty sure. Can you imagine?
Maybe. Who knows?
All right, let's switch over to this month in brewing.
So this is our segment where we find the posts from around the internet for homebrew news. And so previously that was, I would say, newsworthy stunts, statements, explosions. This is stuff that we found on Reddit and mostly Reddit.
Yeah, so I tried to look around other places this time, and there wasn't really stuff happening anywhere but Reddit.
Facebook's kind of a slog 90% of the time. Every
Yeah.
once in a while you have something you're like, oh, that's cool, but most of it's just...
This is a good time to reiterate that we do have a Discord channel for this podcast. And so if you see weird or funny or cool user-generated content on a Facebook group or somewhere we're not checking,
Send it to us.
yeah, drop it in that Discord channel so that way we can check it out. It's on the Man-Made Mead Discord.
Yes. Yep.
So send us your ideas.
First one that's found on Reddit, of course. So this guy made Anthony Bourdain out of wine corks. Now you have to see this, and unfortunately our live audience has a disadvantage at this moment to see this for the moment.
Yeah.
But this guy took a bunch of wine corks and literally Legoed out. I don't know what the best term
Yeah, it's
for it
like
is.
pixel art, kind
Yeah,
of.
pixel arted Anthony Bourdain, which is pretty dang cool.
It is pretty cool. I don't know that I would want
I don't know
like
that
6-foot square image of Anthony Bourdain in my house.
Yeah, and I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but to take the time to do it, that's pretty cool. That takes skills I don't have. I don't know how you do that. How do you have the vision to like? It's like the people who do the upside down drawings. Have you seen that? Where they like start from the bottom and then they just like flip it over at the end. You're like, what the heck? How did you do that?
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got from this one. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. I think not an art form that I'm gonna take on.
Man, I was really hoping you would.
What do you think accounts for the color difference in the corks? Do you think they're like summer? You think so?
Yeah.
Audience thinks that they were just burned. I was thinking
by the wine,
like stained by wine
just
or
no. These are too dark. There's no way. Some of these are so dark that they would have to be
like a bottle, like a champagne bottle stout or something.
But then
Barley
this guy
wine?
spent so much time hunting down different corks.
I don't know, man.
You know, like
Yeah, he
every one
probably
of his
just
friends,
painted
he
it.
was like,
He
if you
probably
see
just-
this color cork, bring
He
it to me.
probably just put them all together and then individually painted them.
Yeah.
He didn't even make Anthony Bourdain's face. He just made a square and then painted the face on it.
They're still rounded, though. I guess you could paint everyone. I don't know. Maybe. Now we're really digging into this guy. Let's assume that he did this with
Well,
his
shout
full-
out to Rob M. Cairns on r/wine. Tell us how you did your art. This one was from ApoFox over on my Discord server. If you're familiar with our community, you know that ApoFox is really doing the most. Like, really, I should just hand that guy the keys to the channel. He's always foraging. He's making baskets. He sent me a spoon that he carved by hand to stir stuff with. Makes maple syrup from the sap, like in a big sugar house. He's just always doing just crazy cool stuff. And he wanted to remind everyone that, yes, it is, in fact, cider season.
Mm-hmm.
And he's foraged picked a bunch of apples. And there's like, I think 11 baskets of apples here, which is awesome.
That's a lot of apples.
Goals.
Yeah.
We've talked about at some point, like doing a split batch of like
I would like
an all apple cider.
I'd like to see a difference between getting, because every time I've done it, it's been Walmart, Sam's, apples, and you buy them in bulk, and then they 100% have the wax on them. So getting them yourself where they haven't been processed in any way would be interesting. Good and bad. I'm sure there's drawbacks to having no process.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to throw some of them away. I'm sure they're not all good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Pretty cool. It is cider season.
It is pumpkin spice latte and cider season.
There was a meme I shared the other day that was arguing that cider is the superior fall drink versus anything pumpkin spiced.
I would agree with that.
Audience show of hands. It's unanimous from the audience that cider is preferred over pumpkin spice.
It is now fact, not opinion. It is now fact.
All right. Very cool project.
My apple cinnamon is about this time. That's when it gets really good. So when that video comes out, that's a good one to make.
All right.
Quick. Ooh, apple pie. That's a good one too.
So this next one is from KMurda87 over on r/Mead.
I know that guy.
Yeah?
I
think you've got this one.
Okay, so this guy...
I made sure to include plenty of context in our notes.
Yeah, I feel like... So he can buy these little carbonation tablets, which are normally just dextrose, or... do they come in sucrose? Or is it mostly just dextrose?
I think it's usually dextrose.
Regardless, carbonation, they're meant for priming sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy went ahead and dumped 15 of those little priming sugar tablets into a singular bottle, and
a 64-ounce growler,
and let it do its thing. And then I don't know how he knew or decided when to go ahead and like open it, because to me I'd be like, I give it, I don't know, 3 days.
I like it says I wanted to see if it would come out carbonated.
It did. As you can see, it is very carbonated. So this is a good moment to remind you to use a calculator. And honestly, I don't like those tablets. I've never been a fan.
There was a time when I was a fan, and the more I've used them, the less I want to use them.
They're not consistent.
They are not consistent. And I have found anecdotally that they take 2-3 times longer to carbonate a bottle than just putting a teaspoon of sugar in there.
Right. Because they have to actually melt.
What's that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
but
have some
the purpose of them is supposed to be that you drop it in and go. You know what I mean? Like
right.
It's true.
So there is those hopped hydromels. Remember you came over and you guys did all the testing on those. I opened one up today. It has been 4 months, 5 months. I used carbonation tablets on that.
No carbonation?
Completely still.
Maybe you racked off the yeast.
I added yeast at bottling.
Maybe they didn't activate. I don't know. That's
no. I think that they're a scam. I think that some are being made with like non-fermentable something.
They can work, but I much prefer just to get some priming sugar. I feel like it's cheaper, it's easier. You just get on your calculator.
The only times I've had failed bottle conditioning are when I have used carbonation tablets.
Mm-hmm. It's more immediate. You can use priming sugar and be done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, just don't put 15 of them in a single growler.
Don't do that. That's the one thing you don't do.
Right. Don't send that to Mead Stampede. I like that there was a commenter that said, you used around 3 times the recommended
3?
dose.
That's it?
It's quite a bit more than that.
For 64 ounce, was it 12? No, that seems... Yeah, that'd be about 5. So that's 3 times.
It's a lot.
That is a lot. Okay, this next one is also...
yeah.
I feel like it's more interesting in a positive manner in that this guy basically built his homemade fruit press, which it is very MacGyver. Like I watched it and was very like, this guy is homebrew MacGyver essentially, and it works. It looks like he's pressing this fruit well enough.
Yeah, so it
looks like a car jack to me.
Yes, it is a larger bucket with the fruit inside with some holes drilled in it. And then a smaller bucket inside of that. And then a car jack and a piece of wood to push the bucket down inside the other bucket.
How'd be so worried about the bucket bottom breaking with enough pressure? Like,
yeah. But, he looks like he built that with stuff from around the house.
I mean,
and it seems to be working.
It is working.
I'll stick to my 5-gallon fruit press.
No, I was gonna say invest so you don't, because then you gotta go buy a bucket if you break it. There's always a chance. Yeah. All right, we got one more.
All right, last
BC,
one.
This
so this is from the Brewlosophy blog. I did pick this up on r/homebrewing, but it was from Brewlosophy themselves posting it. So this friend of Brewlosophy decided to see what would happen if he made a wit beer with Powerade Zero.
Yum.
I like that, not just like regular Powerade where
but
the sugar would
specifically
ferment out, but then the stuff
you want it to be more close to water. You don't want the sugar, so I guess you got to get rid of the sugar.
But you get all this non-fermentable like sucralose or whatever.
He's getting his electrolytes.
Yeah.
Surely that beer's got to be refreshing.
So the question is, would people be able to tell the difference between the beer made with water and the beer made with Powerade Zero? Well, it turns out that all of them could tell the difference.
No. I'm so bummed.
The pictures, though.
Yeah.
Right. Put it.
Get one of those like jungle bags that's like filters out all of the.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So they all could tell the difference. Here, you should have a picture of some of the coloration on this. The final colored beer was kind of like a swamp water green compared to the other one.
Did they do the blind taste test?
Yeah, they did a blind taste test. It's just it was in a shadow, a very blue shadow. So, in case you were ever wondering if you could replace the water in something with Powerade Zero and pass it off as if you had not done that thing,
you can.
Not. You cannot. Oh, this is a great time to thank our supporters, members, and patrons. The ones you see here on screen right now are mine. Shout out to all you fine folks for supporting the channel, making fun stuff happen, giving us the clout necessary to take over a brewery for an hour and a half and do our podcast. These here are the members and patrons on Man-Made Mead.
Yeah, shout out to these people. Really, patrons and YouTube members are what keep us able to do more with the hobby. I think BC and I both have shared analytics essentially from singular videos talking about how much we get from a video, and it's
about $10 a video. Unless it goes viral, you get about $10 a video.
And the time investment, money or monetary, all those investments never stack up. So thank you to these people. Shout out to you guys.
I can tell you a video costs a lot more than $10 to make. So yeah, these folks help keep the lights on. So thank you to all of our members and patrons. Double thank you to the folks who are members on both channels.
Oh yeah, that is it's an investment.
And we should direct folks over to Faywood Mead. She's taken members and patrons down.
Yeah.
I was her first YouTube member.
And I think that's even more important to support. Like we are lucky enough to be able to get people who want to invest with products, sometimes. So that helps us out. But if Faye is still coming up and getting to the point where she has those people, so going and supporting her now, it's even more helpful. Any
of those small creators who are out there that you can support, do it. And I would say, even if you want to take your support away from my channel and go support a smaller creator, go for it. But those folks need your support too. So do what you can where you can. So shout out to all those folks. This I'm gonna just throw to you. You came up with this segment.
Yeah. So I want to have people on the the chat give us
in the chat
some ingredient ideas, and we have 1 minute to essentially when the first one comes up, where I'm going to start a timer, and we have 1 minute to decide how we would brew with it. Now it can be as crazy as you want.
Okay.
It can be as simple as you want, but that seems kind of also lame.
So somebody in the chat is going to list
an ingredient.
The first person that lists an ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
Just one ingredient?
Let's say 2 or 3. We'll do that.
Okay.
Don't
so
go
the
too crazy.
first 2 or 3 that come up,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw to you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to...
We have 1 minute. We have 1 minute to decide how we would incorporate those ingredients into a brew, whether it be beer, mead, wine cider.
Okay, so in that minute, do you want to pour some samples for our audience of that mead you brought?
Absolutely.
And then I can just like carry the show from there.
Absolutely.
For a minute. So so throw some ingredient ideas in the chat, and here in a minute or so, Garrett and I will each take a few of those ingredients and decide what we would brew with them. And you called it, "What would you brew?" That's the name of the.
Like, what would you do?
What would you brew?
Is that our jingle for this one?
Well, there was like a. It was like a "What Would You Do" on Nickelodeon back in the day. Hosted by Mark Summers.
Yeah.
You know, I have his cell phone number. We could prank call him.
Just do it right now.
Right now.
Come on,
Live on the
right
show. I'm
now.
sure he'd appreciate that. Okay, so you brought a mead that you had you had sent to Mazer Cup.
Yeah, so this was also something I found kind of interesting. I feel like it's a good topic for people to even talk about in the chat, but specifically if you're here and my people who want to participate and try this. This is a brew that went to Mazer Cup. It's a blueberry mead.
Mm-hmm.
Used the Maine honey, which is Sean Harris Hawaiian honey. I think everybody knows.
Shout
who
out
he
to
is now.
Sean.
Shout out to Sean. And aged with rum oak. So it's got some interesting character there.
Okay.
And then and it used the Vintner's wine base, which is another thing too, which I found interesting.
The mango wine base? Which
the
wine
blueberry.
base? Blueberry wine
Yep.
base. Okay.
Got a 42, which I thought was pretty good at Mazer. But
That's a great score.
I wanted to share with my people who would like to try it and see their opinions on it.
Okay.
Because I feel like one or two judges' opinions is not quite enough to certify anything.
Okay. Go for it. So I'm gonna. Should I play the game while you're doing these pours now? That was a little. Yeah, there's a lot of ingredients in here. So Man-Made Mead is off camera over here pouring some samples of his blueberry mead for folks to try. That's one of the things. We do this show live. So if you want to become part of the dozens of people who are here in this room. Yeah, there they are. You can come down. We're going to try and do this every month here from Elk Valley. And so you can join the live studio audience, and you might get to try some of our meads because we're in the brewery side. So on this side of that glass door over there, we're allowed to open our own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you walk in, like, where are they at? We're in the back.
We're in the back. Just walk straight through. Yeah, so if you're sitting out front wondering where we're at, keep walking. Oh, you poured me some.
Did you not?
I don't think I've had this before.
Have you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think. It's 14%. When did I brew this? It's been maybe December was when I made it.
It's got a. I think Mandy used this term to describe my blueberry mead, but it's got kind of an oatmeal-y smell.
Oh,
like a creamy, oaty kind of aroma on the nose.
That's interesting.
It's jammy smelling, like it smells like blueberry jelly, blueberry jam.
That's interesting. I wouldn't.
I do pick up the blueberry on the nose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's about 14%.
That's quite good. No real alcohol burn there.
Mm-mm.
Just a touch in the back of the throat. Sweetness is good. I mean, if I'm splitting hairs, I want a little bit more tannin in there.
Yeah,
just a little bit more.
It is a little juicier than I.
Yeah, a little more grit.
I threw oak on it for a long time, and I was hoping that would get from that. But I also think the more time I spend talking about tannin, I realize it's not just oak; it's also using wine tannin itself. You know, sometimes we're like, just oak it, and it'll get enough tannin. It's like that. It's not always true.
I wonder if you could get some tannin from like dehydrated blueberries.
I heard raisins are really good for tannin.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You put some raisins in your homebrew.
Gotta
Let me tune up my guitar. I'm really glad the audience isn't mic'd tonight. They are throwing some shade out there. There's a
we had a
raisin discussion.
You know, I realized I never held up my side of our. We had a contest a while back about who would get more
on Discord.
In
I don't
an X
remember
amount
what
of time.
Did I win or did you win?
You won. And
did I win or did I lose?
So you won, which means I would have.
Which means you lost.
Yeah, which means.
Okay. Well, the rules were written as such that it felt like weird. If you won, you still lost. So.
It was. I did phrase it in the wrong way, but then I thought I picked. Anyways, I was supposed to make a no water raisin mead.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know.
Don't spoil Cattle Battle for next year.
Oh no.
Can you imagine? That might be me not judging Cattle Battle. If
yeah,
that
it
was
might
the
be
case.
on that. I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah.
I would be curious about some more age, and I have lots of it, which is nice. So. Thank you. I appreciate that. Were there any ingredients thrown at us?
Oh yeah. So do you want to start?
Yeah.
Do you want to be first up? So I'll just read you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hear touchdown Sooners.
Woo!
I think that puts us at 14. Not that I've been paying attention. Okay, so I'm just gonna read you. I'm just gonna and read you.
You know, like 2 or 3.
ingredients?
2 or 3.
3 it is.
Okay.
Oregano, butterscotch, and peanuts.
Oh God. Peanuts, butterscotch. That can go. That can work together. Oregano. That is a wild card.
You know, I used to work with a guy who treated all of his ailments with oil of oregano.
Whoa.
So like his dandruff, his acne, he just would rub oregano on everything. This guy smelled like a Little Caesars. Like it was like, oh, I know, I won't say his name, but you knew when he had arrived at work because there was a molto bene aroma in the air.
Gross.
Yeah, it was nasty.
So wait,
he sent me this long thing about how there's like 14 different kinds of oregano in the world, but this one kind sold by this one person was the actual one that was the cure for everything. It's amazing that this one person had the lock on that. Yeah. So oregano, butterscotch, and peanuts.
Okay, so I mean, I'm thinking like a Bochet butterscotch. You just get some caramel notes with some butterscotch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you'd get the flavor other than to use like actual butterscotch candy or some sort like that.
Yeah, but there you have to worry about the fats.
Yeah. Maybe there's a way where you can boil it.
There's original.
Yeah.
Just go to the VFW and search all their pockets for their Werthers.
Excuse me. I have to ask you something. Do you have any?
Excuse me, sir. Do you have any hard candies? Any sucking candies?
I feel like we've spent so much time with investigating how to use peanuts in brews between
I got
Yumi, Larry, and Steve-O.
Raked over the coals for my peanuts and my peanut butter and jelly. They described it as harsh.
How does that make you feel?
I don't care. I because of COVID, I can't taste the peanuts in that brew, so I don't know what they're tasting. So sure, maybe it is harsh. No idea. I have not been able to taste the peanuts in there entire time I brewed it.
PB2 is what I would use for any peanut-based things.
So in this brew,
I'm Bochetting some honey
to get the butterscotch.
I guess I'm probably I might boil some butterscotch and then see if I could skim off the grossness.
Off the fat.
Yeah.
You can freeze it and then.
I think I would do that. I mean, you throw in I feel like a QA23 could be interesting on that, or like a D47. I've had good luck with D47.
I love D47.
The oregano is the hard part there because you could pepper it in there, but then what's the purpose? You're just trying to get some real Papa John's seasoning up in there.
Okay.
That one's all. I don't know.
Do you want to read me some ingredients?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have much.
I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Okay. Sorry. All right.
Careful there.
These are for BC. I'm trying to.
And it can't be any of the ingredients that you read off, right?
I'm trying to avoid. I have to go back to see where this started. Oh, did you pick random ones?
Yeah.
Oh, is it okay? So you didn't
Yeah,
go in an order.
I just like
All
went
right.
through and read the random ones that popped up.
Okay.
I didn't go in any order.
What
do you got?
Marshmallow,
Okay.
cornbread mix, and where is this other one? I lost it. Coconut water.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of where my head was at. The crowd said whiskey. So yeah, cornbread mix, that is not an unusual ingredient for a corn mash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are using cornbread mix and corn flakes and stuff like that to make whiskey mash. So if we're doing this as a brew, and I'm not planning on distilling it later, yeah, I would mash in with the cornbread stuff. I would probably add some like Maris Otter or something, so that's also like bringing up some like a big rich breadiness there. Maybe some cracked corn, just to like go all in on that. So then you've got that like mash liquid.
Okay.
Throw it on the boil for 5 minutes and put like, I don't know, 2-3 bags of marshmallows, big jumbo marshmallows in there. Get those blended in so you get all that vanilla, and it's just gelatin, vanilla, and sugar, right?
Right.
And a marshmallow. So you've got your fining agent built in, and the rest of it's fermentable. That's going to dry everything out pretty considerably. So I might want to plan to have like a higher mash temperature.
Yeah.
So that way I'm left with more residual non-fermentables. So I can end a little bit higher. And then what was the other one?
Coconut water.
Coconut water.
Have you used coconut water in a brew before?
I have. I fermented coconut water before, and it ends
did it
up
turn out?
dry and salty. Is how I would describe that. So I think maybe what I would do, let's think about this. Maybe what I do is do like try to end with 4 gallons, and then add a gallon of coconut water to that. So it's not all coconut water, but you're still getting some of that salt.
Salty, sugary, bright sugary.
Well, and so we got to respect that vanilla note that's in there, because that's some of that's going to carry through.
Yeah.
And so maybe in secondary I throw in some raspberries, and it's kind of like Goza style. You know, maybe I do a light hopping of like Centennial or something that's real. Bleh,
I can't wait for someone to brew this. I think
So
that's
it'd be
the
like
best
a
part of
Goza.
this.
Yeah.
Someone could brew this.
And then I do right now, or like in the next.
It's
month.
more fun if someone else brews it, because then
So I'll choose Larry R is going to brew mine.
No, we should have done it. Where if we pick your ingredient, you have to be one of them to brew.
Well, then
it.
I guess Christopher Morrow will brew yours. Send us some bottles, fam.
Oh man.
All right. So the last segment we have here is homebrewing predictions. Do you have any predictions for the next month of the homebrewing world?
You need to start this one.
I need to start.
Yes, I want you to start this one because I need to make sure.
Let's
process
see.
Mine.
Homebrewing specific. I think that. I mean, if we're gonna do boring, let me start with a boring one.
Okay.
I think that you're gonna see the price on homebrewing supplies start to eke up, just like everything else.
Yeah.
It's held relatively stable from what I've seen, but I'm starting to hear rumblings that glass prices are starting to go up. And so
maybe buy your stuff while you can.
Yeah, and so presumably if the price of glass is going to start to go up, you got to be thinking about the price of steel, the price of copper, and so kegging stuff might start to eke up a little bit. So not necessarily like buy right now, but maybe be a little bit more frugal and probably like wait until after the holidays if you're going to invest in like a Keyser or if you've got a barrel of something, you know. In fun things, I'm going to speculate that Omega is going to put out a new GMO yeast.
Another?
That just does something weird.
I feel like there's
so
like many though
turns
already.
your beer magenta or something. They're going to do something weird with that's it. I'm predicting a genetically modified pH indicator yeast.
Okay.
That will turn your beer anywhere from blue to magenta.
Interesting.
You don't think that's possible?
No, I think so.
I think it's coming.
I think it could be.
And maybe during fermentation, it also changes color to tell you what the fermentation temperature is. Like you can hold a little chart next to your carboy. And know. Man, Omega's just doing amazing stuff with their yeasts.
My prediction has a little bit of insight behind it. So it's a prediction that I'm hopeful for. I think there's going to be some new information about Beauchang and the I guess in-depth reactions of.
This sounds like you have insider knowledge on this.
I do, and maybe I'm wishfully putting this out in the universe, but
you know who you are.
But I think there's going to be
publish your findings.
There's interesting information to be had about Beauchang stuff, and I think that the world needs to know. So that's my prediction, is that that information will be published.
We'll
soon.
finally hit YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not me, but I'm really tempted to publish on it because it's really good information. Again, I want to thank our members and patrons, those folks who support both channels.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are making all this happen, and we really appreciate you for investing in our work, investing in the BrewTube scene, and believing in the stuff that we're doing. Big thanks to the audience who's here for Homebrew Guys tonight. We really appreciate folks coming out and watching the show live. You can watch the show live. We'll probably in a week or so announce when the next date is. We're going to try and do these monthly.
And there's a couple things. One, there is a Homebrew Guys clips channel. If you would like to subscribe to that, we normally take clips from the show and kind of post them up, and so that's another place you can find it. There's also a way for you to, send questions in, as BC had mentioned before. You can go to my Discord. There is questions or articles or stuff that you find, so feel free to hop on the Discord and chat with us. It's a great place to just talk about homebrewing in general. And then lastly, some of you might be listening to the podcast version right now that is on Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the places.
Wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can find us on those. So if you don't have time to watch the show, you can listen to the show. And we normally post it a couple days after the show goes live. So if you miss it and you can't watch it, you can listen to it. So check out Homebrew Guys on any podcast platform.
Well, and you should mention the clips, the clips channel.
Yes, yeah. So that clips channel, as I said a moment ago, BC was distracted with some side stuff, but yes, we do have a clips show. So that'll be not in the description right now, but it will be later for you to find, or you can look up the Homebrew Guys clips podcast, or podcast clips. Excuse me, it's a long name. We probably should have shortened it. I think
if I haven't promoted it on my community page, I will, but you have promoted on your community page.
Yeah,
right?
I put it up there before, and I'll put it up again, but it's a great way to
fun little bite size.
So that's the thing. If you miss the show, you can't listen to it. We'll upload those, and you can see the silly stuff. Last episodes, we had I feel like we hit a lot of fun, silly topics.
The clips were fun. I found myself watching clips of us that I was in and lived through, because they were fun.
They were fun. It is interesting.
It's so eerie.
That's me.
That's me. I thank you for running that channel.
It's easy.
I don't have the time in my day to do more things.
It doesn't take too long. That's a nice thing.
So, do you have anything coming up? Anything exciting? Mazer Cup was the exciting.
Mazer Cup was the big
secret thing for us the last time we did this show.
I have entered the Michigan.
Oh yeah, I didn't get into that one.
I entered a couple things. I got on there, so I'm excited to see. I'm sending a few things in there.
Cool.
We'll see about that. But other than that, I got video stuff, lots of video stuff coming out, and I have lots of unfortunately. You have some summery time stuff that you talked about. I have a ton of summertime videos that are going to come out. Like
in the fall.
I have an unreleased Pina Colada Mead video that's going to come out in like October.
Nothing wrong with pina coladas in the fall.
So that's
PSL pina colada, right?
You. So stuff like that. You'll see a lot of those. It'll inspire you for the summertime when you get back there. What about you? Do you have anything to look forward to?
No. Nothing I'm going to talk about on this show. No, I got a lot of, I think, life changes coming up that are all positive and exciting, but they're going to be very, very time consuming for probably the next 6 months. But no travel or any of that stuff coming up. I think mostly in brewing world, my life's gonna calm down a little bit, which is
That's okay though.
something
Sometimes
to
you
be
need to
thankful
calm.
for. Sometimes, yeah. Are you doing a Halloween video this year?
I don't have anything prepared yet, so
I don't either. I think last year was when I did the Ecto Cooler, wasn't it? Yeah.
I feel like that was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Was it 2 years ago?
I feel like it was a while ago. Yeah, it was longer than
Man, we got to get on it, man.
apparently.
It's Halloween's in like a month and a half, month and a week.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. Oh.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. It's been fun. Carlos says he's still working on that thing that you were ribbing him on. So he'll get to it eventually. Look forward to that on YouTube. And TK, we'll end with this. TK says that someone called Four Fires in Ohio did a 1,000-hour bochet. I mean, it has to be, right?
Man, that crock pot really felt it at the end of that day. 1,000 hours.
I'm going to press X to doubt. All right. Send us a bottle. Send us a bottle.
Tastes like ash.
Yeah. Oh, and you can send stuff to us if you would like. It's P.O. Box 162, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
We share a P.O. box. We should specify.
73101. Yeah, we share a P.O. box, so you can send stuff to the P.O. box. It's right up the street from here.
Mm-hmm.
Across the street.
I don't
from
like checking it, I'll be
memorial.
honest. It's not a fun one to check.
No, I hate checking
of all my
it.
P.O.
It's really
boxes I've
difficult
had,
to get back.
it's the worst
down
P.O. box
here.
to check.
Yeah, for all your dead drops. Yeah. All right. Until next time, happy brewing.
I'm empty.
Cheers.
Cheers.